Now on Coast TV News.
Good Thursday morning, Delmarva. We have a yellow alert in place through the morning, expecting some active weather with the threat of isolated damaging winds. We'll track it coming up.
Rainy road conditions. Here is what our first alert weather Jeep is experiencing. We have the latest on the roads and other areas prone to flooding.
Shutdown sparks action. What Delaware's governor did in response to the potential expiration of SNAP benefits and what we expect Maryland's governor to do later this morning.
Eagles reunion. Deshaun Jackson and Michael Vick were once teammates on the Birds. Tonight they face each other in a HBCU game on their former home turf.
This is Coast TV News Today.
And it is Thursday, October 30th, 2025. Good morning, I'm Matt Pensick.
Good morning, I'm Grace Eckerly, and thank you for being up with us during this 5 o'clock hour.
And we're working under a yellow alert condition. As we saw Chris just say, we got rain, wind. Those are what is triggering this yellow alert day.
Right, Matt. You can hear just from the studio here the sound of the rain. It was windy this morning. We're joined now by First Alert meteorologist Chris Mastrobono. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Grace and Matt. Yeah, we had a heavy bout of rain overnight. That has since lifted to the north. We can see we're drying out a bit along the coast. The heaviest rain right now we're seeing is across the mid-shore. You can see some heavier pockets through Bishop's Head into Cambridge, and this is all pushing to the north, and you can see this moving from a south to north fashion. We have another batch of rain that's pushing up through portions of Worcester and Dorchester County, and this is all lifting up to the north. But we're beginning drying out a bit across the south, watching how this area of low pressure interacts as it continues to lift to the northeast, and we're watching this front to the south, and also that warm front that's still to our south as well. Now, the Storm Prediction Center still has that marginal risk, 1 out of 5. It's a low risk, but it's not zero. The threat of an isolated damaging wind threat and even a brief spin-up tornado cannot be ruled out through the morning. Now, as we take you into Futurecast here through about 8 o'clock, you can see some showers beginning to build back over the area and continuing through the area through about 11 a.m. And then as we get into about the noontime hour, we're going to see conditions rapidly begin to decrease, and we're going to see sunshine by the afternoon. We're at 63 right now in Ocean City, and those winds are howling out of the southeast, gusting to 43 Indian River Inlet, 37 in Georgetown, and we're at 37 in Ocean City. It's quite mild this morning with temperatures in the upper 50s to low 60s, and we're going to see temperatures right around 70 degrees this afternoon, and that is really our window of opportunity for the potential of an isolated severe storm between about 7 and 11 this morning. Then we begin to dry things out through the afternoon, and we really rapidly begin to improve through the afternoon. So really it's the morning that we're most concerned with. We have ghouls, goblins, and gusts for our Halloween, and we're looking very nice for the weekend. We'll talk more about the storms rolling through this morning in that full 7-day forecast a little later on. Matt.
Thank you, Chris. Let's go live to Lewis and check out the scene there. You can see the raindrops on our camera. That's a good indication of a wet start at the first town in the first state. Grace.
Yeah, Matt, here's what we're seeing high above Ocean City. This is the coastal highway that you're looking at. It's around 94th Street, and it's what drivers should expect as they get ready to head out this hour. Right, Matt?
Yeah, we're now getting a further look at the conditions on the roads, specifically at the Indian River Inlet.
And that is exactly where we find Coast TV News reporter Elisa Weber. And Elisa, you're in the First Alert Weather Jeep driving in that area just south of Dewey, and it's an area that normally experiences a lot of trouble during heavy rain.
Good morning, Matt and Grace. Yes, right now we are driving. We're about to get onto the Indian River Inlet Bridge. I'm going to show you the conditions outside right now. The rain appears to have stopped, minus a couple drizzles, nothing heavy. The issue that we're dealing with now is strong wind gusts. We can feel that in our First Alert Weather Jeep. We can feel it pushing us a little bit, so as you're driving around other cars, go slow, go steady. But right now we are taking you up the Indian River Inlet Bridge. As we can see, conditions on this bridge are clear. It's not busy this morning with traffic, but as we head on throughout the newscast closer to our 6 o'clock hour, we do expect more people to be traveling. But so far as we go up the bridge, it is clear, which is a great sign because, again, as Matt mentioned, this is a trouble area. And we are going to take you back to 2 weeks ago on October 13th. This is when we experienced that nor'easter here on Delmarva. And the scenes that you're going to see on your screen right now are images from how this area was impacted during that storm. There was heavy flooding, and also So on that Monday, October 13th, parts of this bridge were closed. Route 1 north at Cotton Patch and southbound just south of Dewey Beach had been shut down around 3 a.m. on Monday morning due to flooding. Eventually, though, that bridge did reopen, and this morning conditions, again, like we mentioned, are looking good outside, but again, drive slowly, drive safe. We're really just dealing with strong wind gusts right now, but we will keep you all updated throughout the newscast. For right now, back to you.
Now turning to Hurricane Melissa, it unleashed devastation in Jamaica as the strongest storm on record ever to hit the Caribbean island nation, and roared later on Wednesday into eastern Cuba, smashing the city of Santiago and flooding rural land. You can see some of that severe weather right now on your screen. According to officials, a historic storm blasted western Jamaica, demolishing homes, knocking down swaths of trees, and washing out roadways.
And this just in, Delaware Governor Matt Meyer is expected in Kent County today for a ceremonial bill signing of the Richard Mouse Smith Compassionate Release Act.
Yeah, Matt, according to Meyer, Smith was a Delaware civil rights leader who advocated for incarcerated individuals, and the law, known as Senate Bill 10, allows people in prison to apply directly to the sentencing court for possible release.
This also gives people older or seriously ill and those who have served decades behind bars new opportunities to seek sentence reductions based on rehabilitation or health concerns.
For more information on the requirements one must meet to be considered for possible release, you can head to our article on CoastTV.com.
With the federal government shutdown threatening to cut off food assistance in just 3 days, Delaware is taking action. Governor Matt Meyer announced a state of emergency to allow weekly state funding for SNAP recipients in the face of this funding lapse caused by the government shutdown. Meyer said the program, which provides food to more than 120,000 people in Delaware, could run out of money if the federal government does not reopen. The state's plan would cover the cost of the program through the month of November.
New this morning, Maryland Governor Wes Moore is expected to take executive action today. That's according to his office. This is ahead of the SNAP funding running out on Saturday due to the government shutdown. Moore says in just a few hours at 11 a.m. he will be announcing his plans to help those who rely on the benefits. Also in Maryland, the State Food Bank is preparing to meet the expected surge in the need for food assistance. It's planning to buy $3 million worth of additional food in the anticipation of the loss of SNAP benefits on Saturday. Officials say more than 55,000 Marylanders on the Eastern Shore rely on SNAP monthly. Local food pantries like Salisbury Union Ministry say they've already seen more people coming in for help over the past few months.
We just got a delivery a week ago. $2,000 worth of administrative fee is what it cost us to bring in the food, and some of it was donated and some of it was from the emergency food program. You'll walk through there right now and you'll think, when do you get your next delivery? Because it doesn't look like you've got enough. And that's what we're thinking right now. How are we going to manage this?
And during previous government shutdowns, Maryland was reimbursed for funding critical programs like SNAP, but in a statement last week, Governor Wes Moore said the state has gotten zero assurance of reimbursement. This brings us to our Coast TV poll. We want to know what worries you most about the government shutdown. Let's take a look at the results at this hour. Yeah, got a good split there between health insurance costs and workers losing their paychecks. And then we have 5% voting for both travel delays and losing SNAP benefits. If you haven't voted yet, you can still do so at CoastTVnews.com or our mobile app. New this morning, Berlin is helping people who live there keep track of their water use. The town says a new Berlin consumer water portal is an online service that lets people manage their use through charts and graphs. People can set alerts, detect leaks, and even create budgets. Now, town leaders say people can access that portal 24/7. President Trump is on his way back to Washington this morning after a 3-stop tour through Asia this week. The president's trip culminating early this morning with that high-stakes meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, his first in 6 years. And NBC's Tracy Wilkins shows us the meeting and if the world's two largest economies could de-escalate trade tensions.
President Donald Trump declared he wants to begin testing America's nuclear weapons just before his meeting with China's President Xi Jinping in South Korea. later explaining it wasn't she that prompted the announcement.
It had to do with others.
On Truth Social, the president posted the United States has more nuclear weapons than any other country and went on to express concerns that Russia and China will catch up with the U.S. in 5 years. Trump said he wanted the testing to be done on an equal basis with other countries, but did not elaborate on what that would look like. Democratic Senator Jackie Rosen reacting on X, saying, "This directly contradicts the commitments I secured from Trump nominees who've told me explosive nuclear testing would not happen." Returning from South Korea on Air Force One, Trump called the meeting with Xi a success.
I guess on the scale of from 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, I would say the meeting was a 12. Okay, I think it was a 12.
The two leaders discussed fentanyl, the export of China's rare earth minerals, and trade, prompting Trump to lower tariffs on goods from China to 47% from 57%.
It was an outstanding group of decisions, I think, that was made. A lot of decisions were made, too. There wasn't too much left out there.
In Washington, Tracy Wilkins, NBC News.
The Salisbury Police Department says there's been an increase in car thefts in the area. The agency is now advising ways to prevent crime by keeping your doors locked, keeping valuables out of view, and parking in well-lit areas.
Tonight in Philadelphia, it's a pair of former Eagles going head-to-head. Deshaun Jackson, leading Delaware State, takes on Norfolk State, coached by Michael Vick. They face each other in a MEAC contest. Hornets won their conference opener last week, and kickoff tonight is just after 7 p.m.
We're just getting started in this hour of Coast TV News today.
Coming up, dealing with decline, who officials are working with to protect striped bass on the eastern shore.
Also, tree cell tower, what's officials say? And Ocean Pines is coming to the town. We'll tell you about the intent for that unique design.
But first, bringing history to life in 3D. The new artwork in Lewis catching attention. It's this week's Coastal Connections. All that and more as Coast TV News Today continues.
Lewis has a new way to tell stories, not through words, but through art. And in this week's Coastal Connections, Elisa Weber takes us to the Lewis Historical Museum, where they've got a new mural that is telling the story of the first town in the first state.
A colorful mural now adorns the front of the Lewis Historical Museum, highlighting key moments in the city's rich history. Being chosen by Art and Bloom to create it was an honor artist Michael Rosato took very seriously.
Whenever I paint a mural, I think about that. How will the viewer engage in this, and when I'm painting, and it's very satisfying when that engagement is positive, and you get positive feedback. It means that you were successful in your interpretation, and it's. And I take the responsibility of painting, especially for other communities, very important. It's something that I embrace wholeheartedly, mind, body, soul.
From Native Americans to Lewis's shipbuilding heritage, the artwork truly comes to life, so much so that you might do a double take, thinking parts of the painting, like the raccoon or the goldfinch, are actually real. Creating a mural like this is no easy task. Rosato spent more than 400 hours bringing the project to life, but he says the hard work is always worth it.
Call it the humility of preparation. If you prepare yourself well, for telling a story, usually by the end you'll have a successful, product.
Rosato says small American towns are often the best to paint for, as he finds they're often hidden gems and a melting pot for ideas. And of course, Lewis was no exception.
There's so much American history, in Lewis. You've got, the gambit. It's like a sweeping epic of a novel, in one little town. When you have that much history in a small town, there are so many rich stories, and it just makes the process of telling that story a lot easier.
This painting tells 5 stories of Lewis, from Native Americans hunting and gathering, the arrival of the Dutch, the city's role in the Underground Railroad, and finally, Lewis's rich maritime and shipbuilding history. Each scene is as captivating as the next.
And that's what I love about designing. The design process is that you think about all these little things. How do you engage the viewer to learn the story? And I know a little kid's going to come up here and say, "Mom, a bird," and then he's going to say, "Look at the boy," and then what's going on, and ask questions. That's the way I like to design it. I like it to, I want it to invite you in to learn it, and to be engaged with it, and then be kind of either blown away or, just enjoy.
The next time you're in Lewis, take a moment to appreciate this work of art. There's a good chance it'll inspire you to learn more about the first town in the first state. For Coastal Connections, I'm Elisa Weber.
It is 5:18, and we're getting a live look at some light rain there in Lewis along the canal, and it's a rough start this morning, Chris, but we are expecting a better afternoon.
Yeah, it's the first part of the day that's going to be a little dicey, but as we go into the afternoon, we're going to see some rapidly clearing conditions. We had some heavy rain overnight that pushed through Sussex County. That has since lifted to the north. The heaviest rain right now we're seeing across Taylor's Island, extending through Cambridge and Easton, and this is all lifting in a south to north fashion. And you can see there's more showers building to the south here across portions of North Carolina and Virginia, and this is all lifting to the north. Now we're keeping a close eye on this area of low pressure back off across portions of West Virginia. This is lifting up to the northeast. The warm front is still to the south, and so is the cold front still back off to the west. So all the pieces are on the board, but not all exactly coming together at the right time. We're at 63 in Ocean City. The winds sustained 20 Georgetown to 32 Indian River Inlet, but those gusts 42 Indian River Inlet to 37 in Ocean City and 37 in Georgetown. It's a mild start. Bit of a tropical-like start as well. Dew points are in the 60s as well. 62 Lewis, we're at 61 in Georgetown. Watch for some patchy fog as well. A lot of low clouds out there. So overall, the theme, just take it easy this morning. We have a wind advisory. Sussex County, that's up through 1 o'clock. For that threat of wind gusts upwards of 50 miles an hour. Coastal flooding is going to be an issue, I think, through high tide. Nothing to do with the rain falling from the sky. And that coastal flood advisory is up through Worcester County. The main flooding concern here is across Dorchester, Somerset, Wacomico. Could see moderate to major tidal flooding as we go into high tide this evening. Gale warnings are up for the entire coast, as well as that small threat of an isolated severe storm with damaging winds being the primary threat. But again, can't rule out that brief spin up as we go through the morning. There is Futurecast showing some of that heavier rain building back in through about 10 a.m. And then this is going to be really the last gasp of this system, I think, by around 11 to about the midday time frame. And then we're going to rapidly begin to clear from a west to east fashion through the afternoon, and expecting some sunshine to break out through the afternoon. It's going to be a rather mild day ahead of that front. There's those winds gusting to 40, 45 miles an hour through the morning. We'll see that wind shift out of the south through the afternoon, and then we'll see the wind shift out of the west by the evening as the front pushes through. So the winds will subside a bit. But then as we go into Halloween, they ramp right back up, and we're going to see some gusts upwards of 40, 45 miles an hour. So there's that window of opportunity for a thunderstorm between about 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. And then we begin to dry out through the afternoon with temperatures right around 70 degrees. We dry out, but it turns quite blustery into our Halloween and the weekend, looking fantastic with partly cloudy skies and temperatures in the low 60s. So your trick-or-treat forecast tomorrow looking good. We're looking at temperatures falling through the 50s through the evening, with sunshine giving way to clear skies through Delmarva. We're at 62 on Saturday. Could see some patchy frost overnight Saturday into Sunday, 64 into Sunday, and looking at that sunshine and beautiful weather to continue into the start of next week. Matt.
Thank you, Chris. A new cell tower disguised as a tree. It's coming to Ocean Pines. The Ocean Pines Association website shows the tower going in at 100 Clubhouse Drive. It's the area that we're showing you right here on your screen. Now, the association says the cell tower will improve service in the community while keeping the visual impact to a minimum.
Delmarva Central Railroad will close Old Racetrack Road between Brick Manor Road and North 2nd Street. That's going to start on November 8th, and it's all according to DelDOT. The agency says crews will be doing maintenance work at that railroad crossing, and the closure is expected to stay in place until November 10th.
Up next, dealing with decline. We'll tell you what some experts say has led to a decline in striped bass population. We'll be right back on CoastTV News Today.
The Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission is looking at striped bass regulations at its annual meeting in Dewey Beach this week. They say that Atlantic striped bass were declared overfished. That was in 2019, and restrictions were placed to restore the population in hopes by 2029. But studies showed the population was still struggling after fishing regulations, and there was a proposal to reduce the amount of fish harvested by another 12%. But That plan failed, meaning regulations will stay at the status quo for now, which one local waterman says is a big win for them.
We're not going to go above and beyond the status quo unless they do something to adjust the baseline, which would give us more days off on the charter industry. Guys are going out of business dropping like flies right now.
Although Newberry says Maryland does plan to revisit the regulations in the state, he says local watermen intend to fight. Today is the final day of the commission's annual meeting.
Menhaden fish regulations were also discussed this week. The commission decided to cut next year's harvest by 20%. Some experts say a 54% reduction is needed to protect the ecosystem. And a new report from the commission shows the menhaden numbers in the Atlantic Ocean are 37% lower than what scientists thought. Watermen and environmental groups warn the population decline could ripple through the Chesapeake Bay's food chain and local economy.
Good Thursday morning, Delmarva. Rain, wind, and mild conditions greeting us this morning as we take a live look into Lewis. A damp start there. We had some heavy rain overnight, 61 degrees, dew point 60. So a bit of a tropical feel. And we have that threat of heavy rain through the morning, through at least about your lunchtime hour. Could see an isolated damaging wind threat. So stay weather aware at least through lunchtime. Temperatures rising into the upper 60s ahead of the front as we make our way up into Lewis. We have that thunderstorm threat through around lunchtime with temperatures in the upper 60s, so it's going to be a rather mild day across the area. Same for Cambridge, temperatures right around 60 with the rain primarily in the morning, but temperatures and conditions are really going to begin to improve by the afternoon. We have Colleen O'Connor of Millsboro, Delaware. You're the winner of our Coast TV weather umbrella, and as always, you get your latest forecast by dialing our First Alert weather phone. We'll track the showers and storms and when it all clears out in the next half hour. Grace.
Thanks, Chris. After the break on Coast TV News today, rules for compassionate release. We'll tell you how Governor Meyer could give some people who are incarcerated in Delaware new opportunities for release.
Also, more damage from Melissa. Just check this out here. We have the progression of that hurricane across the Caribbean.
And forecast cancels ferry. We'll tell you which trips will not be taking off at the Cape May Lewis Ferry due to weather conditions. Coast TV News Today returns after the break.
Now on Coast TV News.
Flooding focus. On this yellow alert day, what is the current situation at the normal high water pain points?
Good Thursday morning, Delmarva. We have a yellow alert in place through the morning, expecting some active weather with the threat of isolated damaging winds. We'll track it coming up.
Melissa's massive mayhem, the power and the destruction of one of the largest hurricanes to hit the Caribbean.
Seeking snap solution. 2 governors, 1 problem. What Maryland is expected to announce later this morning after Delaware's Matt Meyer revealed his plan on Wednesday.
This is Coast TV News Today.
October 30th, 2025. Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Pensick. Good morning, Grace.
Good morning, Matt. I'm Grace Eckerly. Thank you for being up with us.
And we're approaching 5:32 on a day where the conditions are dictating a yellow alert day.
Right. It is awfully rainy, awfully windy outside, and we are joined now by our First Alert meteorologist, Chris Mastrobono, who's going to level set for us what exactly it means to be a yellow condition day.
Good morning, Grace and Matt. Yes, where you have those conditions of over 35-mile-an-hour winds region-wide, as well as that threat of overseeing a half an inch of rain. And we had a good dosage of rain overnight, seeing a little heavy cell there pushing over the Maryland-Delaware border. The heaviest, steadiest rain we're seeing right now extends from Cambridge all the way up through Easton. You can see these red and yellow pockets of heavy to moderate rain, and that is all lifting to the north. And this is the general fashion of this rain, and we're tracking this shower activity back across Virginia and North Carolina, pushing up to the northeast as this big broad area of low pressure spinning across West Virginia and West Virginia, and this is all lifting up to the northeast. The warm front still to the south and the cold front still to our west. Now the Storm Prediction Center maintaining that marginal risk, 1 out of 5 risk of seeing an isolated damaging wind and even a brief spin up tornado. As we go through the morning, you can see Futurecast showing that last gasp of showers and thunderstorms pushing through the area by around 11:30 and then pushing off the coast just after lunchtime, and then we rapidly begin to clear from a west to east fashion. Right now we are at 64 in Ocean City. It is a rather windy start to the day with those gusts upwards of 41 Indian River Inlet to 32 in Bethany Beach out of the southeast. Temperature wise, it's quite mild. We're in the low 60s. And it's going to be a rather warm day ahead of this cold front as we get up to around 70 degrees, and then we begin to dry things out as we go into the afternoon. So the afternoon, much more better than the start of our day here on Delmarva, and we're looking very nice for Halloween, but it will stay rather windy. We'll talk more about that coming up a little bit later on in my full forecast. Grace.
Thanks, Chris. Now taking a live look into Ocean City. This is at one of the inlets, and you can see the wind is just whipping those trees in the bottom corners. It's blowing off of that water. It is dark, it's wet, it's rainy, and it's windy. Matt?
Yeah, similar situation as we go to 5 Points in Lewis. It's one of the busiest intersections in our area during the morning commute. You can see the rainy scene there. And these are the conditions at this intersection of Route 13 and Route 9.
Now taking a look further at the conditions out there on the roads, specifically Bethany Beach.
Yeah, that is where we have our Elisa Weber. She's in the first alert weather Jeep in an area that flooding is normally a concern in situations like this. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning, Matt and Grace. Right now, we are in Bethany Beach. I'm going to show you outside. We are currently parked on 1st Street. We are facing Pennsylvania Avenue, and as you can see, there is a ton of standing water on the road right here. It is not deep where we are parked. We are obviously not parked in standing water. We are on the road. Never drive through standing water. That is dangerous. But as we can see already this morning, rain is light, but there is still significant water on the road here in Bethany Beach. In terms of rainfall, you can see from our camera right now, it is coming down again. It is very on and off. It's not heavy rain. It is particularly just drizzle, but we are going to take you back to 2 weeks ago, October 13th, right here in Bethany Beach. In this area, they experienced the same situation, even more severe. Bethany Beach dealt with street closures and beach erosion as the strong storm brought intense flooding and rough waves. Officials closed North Pennsylvania Avenue from Garfield Parkway to 5th Street due to rising water. And we're going to show you another look at these conditions taking place right now this morning on 1st Street and Pennsylvania Avenue. As we can see, this is just more of a look for you of where we could go. We weren't inside our vehicle of what this street is looking like. These streets are blocked off. There are signs to never drive in standing water. And again, just be careful. We will have more updates for you as the morning goes on here in Bethany Beach. For now, back to you.
Lisa, some things to know with this weather. The Cape May Lewis Ferry says it's canceling certain departures tomorrow due to these expected weather conditions. Now, transportation officials say there will be no boats leaving from Cape May at 9:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. There will also be no boats leaving from Lewis at 11:15 a.m. and 2:45 p.m.
Hurricane Melissa unleashed devastation in Jamaica as the strongest storm on record ever to hit the Caribbean island nation. It roared later on Wednesday into eastern Cuba, smashing the city of Santiago and flooding rural land. You can see some of the severe weather right here on your screen. And according to officials, the historic storm blasted western Jamaica, demolishing homes, knocking down swaths of trees, and washing out roadways.
In other news, with the federal government shutdown threatening to cut off food assistance in just 3 days on November 1st, Delaware is taking action. Governor Matt Meyer announced a state of emergency to allow weekly state funding for SNAP recipients. That's in the face of this funding lapse caused by the government shutdown. Meyer said the program, which provides food to more than 120,000 people in Delaware, could run out of money if the federal government does not reopen. The state plans to cover the cost of the program through the month of November.
And new this morning, Maryland Governor Wes Moore is expected to take executive action today on the potential expiration of SNAP benefits. According to his office, this is ahead of SNAP funding running out on Saturday due to the federal government shutdown. Moore says in just a few hours, this is at 11 a.m., he will announce his plans to help those who rely on the benefits.
New this morning, Delaware Governor Meyer is expected in Kent County today for a ceremonial bill signing of the Richard Mouse Smith Compassionate Release Act. According to Meyer, Smith was a Delaware civil rights leader who advocated for incarcerated individuals. That law, also known as Senate Bill 10, allows people in prison to apply directly to the sentencing court for possible release.
And it also gives people who are older or seriously ill, also those who have served decades behind bars, new opportunities to seek sentence reductions based on rehabilitation or health concerns.
New this morning, Berlin is helping people who live there keep track of their water use. Now, the town says that the Berlin Consumer Water Portal is an online service tool that lets people manage their use through charts and graphs. And in it, people can even set alerts, they can detect leaks, and even create budgets. Town leaders say people can access that new portal 24/7.
The Salisbury Police Department says they are seeing an increase in car thefts. The department is recommending ways to prevent crime. Some is keeping doors locked, keeping valuables out of view, and also parking in well-lit areas.
This just in, President Trump on his way back to Washington this morning after a 3-stop tour through Asia this week. The president's trip culminating earlier this morning with a high-stakes meeting with Chinese President Xi, his first in 6 years.
And Reed Binion shows us the meeting that took place moments after the president made a surprise announcement on social media.
It's a great honor to be with a friend of mine, really for a long time now, if you think about it.
President Donald Trump speaking at the start of a high-stakes meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping Thursday in South Korea.
President Xi is a great leader of a great country, but he's a very tough negotiator. That's not good.
Following the meeting, the president spoke to reporters on board Air Force One as he traveled back to the U.S.
We're in agreement on so many elements.
Trump said they reached a trade deal and agreed on, quote, almost everything, including soybean trade.
Large amounts, tremendous amounts of the soybeans and other farm products are going to be purchased immediately.
The president also said he is reducing his fentanyl-related tariffs on China.
I put a 20% tariff on China because of the fentanyl coming in, which is it's a big tariff. And based on his statements today, I reduced it by 10%, so it's 10% instead of 20%.
And Trump said he and Xi resolved the issue of China's export controls on rare earth supplies, which are essential for making almost all high-tech products, from iPhones to electric vehicles. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
New overnight, according to a post by the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Pete, he said the military struck another suspected drug vessel that killed 4 people. You just saw that on your screen right now. The strike happened in the Eastern Pacific on Wednesday, and this is the 14th known U.S. military strike on alleged drug-carrying boats in international waters. CoastTV News today. We'll be right back.
Good Thursday morning, Del Marvin. Active start to our day with rain and wind pushing through the peninsula. We see some moderate to heavier pockets of rain at this hour. One of those pushing through 113 up through Millsboro and Georgetown, and another area of pushing just to the north of Cambridge into Easton and off the mid-shore there. But another heavy batch of rain lurks off the Atlantic, and this is lifting up into the peninsula. This will be pushing through Chicotee, Ocean City, and then eventually the Delaware coastline over the next hour, with more activity back off to the west. Here's our area of low pressure centered over West Virginia, and all of this is lifting to the northeast. You can see those winds cranking at this hour, gusting 31, Rehoboth 40, Indian River Inlet. At least it's mild. That's one of the positives this morning, with temperatures in the lower 60s. So keep the umbrella handy through the morning and hold on to that umbrella with those gusts upwards of 40 to 50 miles an hour. 60 degrees to start, but we rapidly improve through the afternoon. I'll talk more about that in my full 7-day forecast here in a little bit. Back.
Okay, Chris. Happening tonight, Humane Animal Partners is hosting its 4th annual Save 'em by the Sea Casino Night. The organization says this funding event helps support adoption, wellness, and pet retention programs. According to HAP, there is live music, food, casino games, and live and silent auctions. This is tonight at 5:30 in Millsboro.
Going to try and drag Matt to that with me. Now look at this. The Brandywine Valley SPCA welcomed the ASPCA's 300,000th shelter animal. Matt, I can't even count that high. The SPCA says Maisie Bell, who's on your screen now, is a 5-month-old mixed breed puppy. She was found in the yard of a Tennessee home with a broken leg. They believed that was from being hit by a car, but now she's up for adoption here in Delaware.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
On the court, Indian River Volleyball had a hike last night. IR shipped up to play St. Mark's in Wilmington for the first round of states. Would the Indians' bus ride back include celebrating their first postseason win in 3 years? Well, we're going to start the match off with Spartan highlights. Gia Pizzulo with a huge spike in the first set, which would go the way of the home team, 25-6. Here's Adriana Morris with the kill that IR just can't get. Indian River trying him out to come back in the second set. Lila Mae Brown providing a little bit of serve receive. That's a big spike to the back corner. But Sutton Nix getting into the mix for St. Mark's with a block from the front row. 25-7 was the score of the second set in favor of the Spartans. They're up 2-0 on the match. Lena Clark and company, they keep it rolling for St. Mark's. Pure dominance from the home side. Clark one more time from the same spot. Another Spartan point. The third set wrapped up 25-9 in favor of the Spartans. Laura Garrett with a little ace. Why not? So St. Mark's with the sweep of IR. Now they get the 1 seed, Caesar Rodney, up next.
Coming up on DSN at 6 p.m., it's another chance to catch Spirits of the Shore. Then at 6:30, tune in for the high school football pregame show, Scoops and Scores. At 7 p.m. live, Henlopen Conference football when Cape travels to Caesar Rodney. And then it's the final score at 10:30. And on DSN Plus, along with that Cape game, here are your exclusives. It's a full night of Thursday night high school football. 6 p.m., Kent Island faces Queen Anne's. 6:30, Cambridge South Dorchester takes on Easton. And at 7, Sussex Tech visits Laurel. Last night, the pivotal Game 5 of the World Series, and it was the Trey Savage show. The Blue Jays pitcher went 7 innings, striking out 12 Dodgers. The Jays win at 6-1. They are now 1 win away from capturing their first title in 32 years. Game 6 in a potential clinch party in Toronto is Friday night.
And it's week 9 in the NFL regular season. And coming up on Sunday Night Football this week, tune in as the Washington Commanders host the Seattle Seahawks. Then right after, stay here for CoastTV News. And if you're having a rough week, you can cheer up with a weekly dose of local good news from CoastTV with personal features, some fun things to do each weekend, and more. You can sign up now for free at coasttv.com/sign up to get your weekly dose of joy directly to your inbox on Friday.
Well, take your time out there this morning. We have moderate to heavy rainfall and some very strong winds pushing across the peninsula. The latest on when all this mess clears out in my full 7-day forecast right after the break.
Chris, we are indoors and we can hear this wind whipping past the building. It is absolutely insane. It's crazy. And it's looking a little dark, a little dreary, a little dismal. But I heard that there is promise of a better future ahead in this afternoon's forecast.
Yeah, all of our issues are going to be in the morning, and we're going to be much more improved by the afternoon. You can see we had a soaking rain overnight, some heavier, steady rain pushed to the north, but we're still dealing with some moderate to heavier pockets of rain across Delmarva, pushing through the midshore, through Cambridge, up through Easton, and then we have another batch of some pretty heavy rain lurking just off the coast of Chincoteague and the Golf Club shores, and this is all lifting to the north along the coast, and then we're watching this batch of shower activity pushing through North Carolina and Virginia, and this is all lifting to the north, all a part of a big area of low pressure centered across portions of West Virginia that is upper level low over Tennessee, and then another system off the coast, and all of this moisture is lifting to the north. You can see that wet camera there in Rehoboth, 62 degrees, and those sustained winds anywhere from 24 to Rehoboth to 20 in Georgetown. We're gusting upwards of 39 Indian River Inlet and 37 in Georgetown out of the southeast, and we're mild this morning, 62 in Lewis, 61 in Redden, and 61 in Georgetown. Dealing with some low clouds and fog across the midshore, so just use some caution this morning. Take your time out there. Wind advisory up through 1 for the Sussex County coast for the Delaware beaches. That's for gusts upwards of 50 miles an hour. We have coastal flood advisories. Could see minor coastal flooding along the Atlantic Moderate to major coastal flooding possible in and across the bays, as well as those gale warnings. Now, we do have that isolated threat of a potential damaging wind and even a brief spin-up tornado through the morning. It's a small threat, but it exists at least through midday as Futurecast shows those storms and showers moving through the area. The last gasp moving through about 11 a.m. through your lunchtime hour, and then the moisture pushes off the coast, and then we see clearing from west to east and sunshine breaking out through the latter part of the day. The winds gusting out of the south through the morning upwards of 40 miles an hour. We'll see more of a southerly wind into the afternoon, and then as the front pushes through, those winds will shift out of the west. So the winds will relax a bit overnight, and then they ramp right back up into Halloween. So temperatures holding in the upper 60s to right around 70 this afternoon, with that window of opportunity for an isolated severe storm through about 11 a.m., and then we dry out through 3. Behind it, we dry out, but turns quite windy once again into our Halloween, and then those winds will relax a bit as we go into the weekend. So if you're heading on out tomorrow for trick-or-treating, we're going to be dry, we're going to be pleasant, temperatures falling. We'll hit about low 60s in the afternoon, and then we'll fall through the 50s into the evening and night with clear skies. 62 into Saturday, mostly sunny start to the weekend. We are at 62 into 62, into Saturday, and we're looking rather dry and pleasant through the start of next week. Matt.
Thank you, Chris. Hurricane Melissa still making its way across the Caribbean, impacting places such as Jamaica and Cuba. And people with ties to Jamaica here on Delmarva are hearing similar reports from family. Elvis Scott, he owns Caribbean Flava in Salisbury, has a son and brother still working in Jamaica, and he says he's not been able to get in contact with them yet.
Just pray, we get back the country back together, and all the help we can get to bring it back together, because that's our paradise,
Scott says he plans on sending them resources whenever phone service picks back up.
New information this morning. Salisbury will host Shop Small Saturday to prepare for the holiday season. Can't believe it's coming up so fast. According to the city, people can buy from local stores, eat from local restaurants, and even get a free horse and carriage ride. There will also be live music and a visit from Santa himself. The city says it's all taking place downtown on November 29th. The time is now 5:55 a.m. and it's time to check in with our coastal pet of the day.
Yeah, today's coastal pets of the day are showing off their Halloween costumes on your screen right now. We got Benny and Diesel. Do have some sad news, as you can see there. We are learning that Diesel, who's been a regular with us, has passed away last month. It was 2 weeks from his 14th birthday. As always, Benny and Diesel were submitted to us by Tammy in Seaford.
Yeah, our hearts go out to you, Tammy, and your family. We want to see more of your coastal pets on Delmarva, so if you want to send us some photos and tell us what makes them so special to you, you can take a look at your screen now.
You can scan that QR code at the top to get your friends to Coast TV News, and then watch weekdays from 5 to 7 a.m. to see all the pets we feature.
Dealing with active weather through our morning. Use caution out there. We're seeing temperatures in the upper 60s for around 70 this afternoon. We'll see that isolated threat of severe weather at least through about your lunchtime hour, and then we rapidly begin to clear through the afternoon, and we are looking at some very windy conditions into Halloween with a temperature of 61.
Well, at least we got a nice Halloween night. I know it's a little breezy, but it'll be good for the trick-or-treaters. All right, thank you, Chris. And coming up in our next hour, roads in the rain. We get the latest on the conditions at our normal trouble points during the yellow alert day. That and more when we continue with Coast TV News Today.